Have you ever wondered how far underground humans can go in the world we live in? What is there underground? What dangers await us? One day, that danger appeared, and humans were going deep into the earth to find a solution to that danger. What happened to them then, and what they saw there will thrill you. Meanwhile, the earth is about to be destroyed for a reason. What is that reason? And meanwhile, these humans went deep underground to save the earth from that destruction. And then... Hello, you are watching the exclusive channel of movie explanation, Cineclue. Today's movie is The Core. The American city of Boston was celebrating Green World Day or Earth Day on 22 April. On the other hand, a businessman was shown to be about to make the biggest deal of his life today. But far from the business deal being made, before he could even utter a word, he suddenly collapsed on the table. No one can understand anything. What happened suddenly? However, he is not alone in this situation. In the city where Earth Day was being celebrated a while ago, people are also falling into a coma. They do not have the strength to get up. The scene changes. This gentleman is shown. He is a professor of geology at the University of Chicago. His name is Jazz. He was teaching students about sound waves. At that time, two government officials came to interrupt his studies. They came there to take him to Washington, D.C., the capital of America. However, when they got there, they found that he was not alone there. He was accompanied by his old friend named Serge. Serge is an expert in high-energy weapons, although both of them could not understand why they were brought here. Jazz and Serge met after a long time. They kept moving forward and entered a huge hall. But there was no decoration in that hall. There were many dead bodies. They thought that they might have come to this room by mistake, but this lieutenant officer named Thomas told them, "Not in the wrong room. You have come to the right room." Thomas continued to say that this morning, about 32 people died at the same time, and the most surprising thing was that none of them were sick, as if something like this had happened to them all of a sudden. This huge incident would be on all the news channels within an hour. Jazz said that these people had one thing in common. They all had pacemakers implanted in their chests. A pacemaker is a type of device. Jazz realized that he and his friend Serge might have been called here because someone had made an electromagnetic weapon and killed so many innocent people, and they might have been called to investigate this incident. However, to make such a weapon, you need a very powerful EMP, which is kind of impossible to make. What is EMP? EMP is a type of invisible electric magnet which is created from an explosion or strong radiation. Various electronic devices, such as mobile phones, TVs, computers, car engines, and even hospital equipment, can be turned off in an instant. They suspect that there may be some electromagnetic weapons that can turn off the pacemakers installed in the chests of those people and cause people to die. After listening to them, Thomas asks Serge and Jazz to leave there, although they want to research this further, but Thomas does not agree. But this strange phenomenon does not stop only in America. After a few days, the people of London also witnessed a strange phenomenon in Trafalgar Square, a city in London. They suddenly saw birds flying fearlessly in the sky and suddenly crashing to the ground. Even when people were running in fear, birds were falling on them from a great height, sometimes on a moving bus, sometimes on the window glass of a large building. Jazz sees the news of this incident on TV. He learns that the incident is not only in London, but also in Australia and Japan in the last 2 months. He understands that the EMP in the Earth may be behind this incident. Birds usually use the Earth's magnetic field to determine direction, especially those that are migratory birds. These birds have something in their brains through which birds can understand the Earth's magnetic waves, and accordingly, they keep their direction when they fly. And when the Earth's EMP spreads around, the birds start falling from high to low because they cannot determine direction.
And for the same reason, the America spaceship was also affected. When the America spaceship was returning from space to the Earth, it suddenly changed its speed, and the spaceship was supposed to land in Washington, D.C. But instead of landing there, it started moving towards the city of Los Angeles. They had very little time to land, and if they could not land within a few minutes, the spaceship would crash into the city. But a junior pilot there suggested landing the spaceship in the river so that they could somehow survive. Although the spaceship was completely destroyed, why are these strange things happening? Josset goes to investigate it. But he is surprised. He realizes that the molten core of the Earth, which is always spinning, is slowly stopping. And if the core of the Earth stops, the magnetic field of the Earth will be destroyed within a few months, and the sun's rays will directly hit the surface of the Earth, and if this is the Earth, it will not be long before it is destroyed. To put it more simply, deep inside the Earth there is a molten liquid part called the core. This part is always rotating, and because of this rotation, a magnetic field is created around the Earth. This magnetic field protects us from the harmful rays of the sun. It can be called a kind of invisible shield. But if the rotation of this molten core inside the Earth slowly stops, then the Earth's magnetic field will weaken and the Earth will be completely destroyed. Then the sun's ultraviolet rays, solar storms, all this will enter the Earth, and as a result, people, animals, plants will be damaged. The risk of skin cancer will increase, crops will be destroyed, the climate will change, communication systems and even the internet will be destroyed. And if this situation continues, the Earth will become a place of grave danger for a long time, where life will not only be difficult, but the Earth will become a burning planet due to the direct heat of the sun. After learning about this terrible event, Josset tells the famous geologist Conrad. Conrad is a scientist who studies the structure of the Earth, rocks, minerals, and geological matters. Conrad is seen. He does not believe Josset's words. And then after some more research, he calls Thomas and says, Josset was saying everything correctly, and that night a strange red glow was seen in the sky again. This glow was indicating the beginning of the end of the world. But Conrad was not only worried about this, he was also investigating a secret mission. Anyway, this time George is taken to a meeting by some government officials. Condell and Thomas were also present there. They want to know the whole story from Josset. Josset tells them the whole EMP theory and says that in just 3 months, the world will reach the ancient era again, and in a year, no one will live on Earth. What is the Stone Age? We have all read in history books that the oldest period in human history was the Stone Age, when people used tools made of stone. Why would people go back to the Stone Age? Because if the Earth's core stops, no electronic device will work on the Earth. No electronic device, be it a fan or a mobile phone, will work. Josset also says that he does not know why the Earth's core suddenly stopped, and there is no way to solve it. It is impossible to restore the Earth's core, which is 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit, made of iron and nickel, 2,000 miles down and 1,000 miles thick, to its normal state. Because until now, people have only been able to go 2,000 miles below the Earth, let alone 7 miles below. So how can anyone survive after digging so far below the Earth? But once Karna gives them an idea. He has a friend in Utah. Utah is a state in America. When they reach there, they meet a scientist named Braz. Braz tells them that they have built a ship that is made of a type of ultra-wide wave or ultrasonic web, which when it hits anything, it turns it into dust, be it rocks or minerals, whatever. So they'll be able to use this wave to penetrate the hard layers of the Earth and move towards the very edge of the Earth. Even to withstand the temperature at the edge of the Earth, there is a special metal in that device. What is the name of the metal? The name of the metal is unobtainium, which can withstand excess pressure and heat. Not only that, the more this ship goes inside the Earth, the stronger it will become. That is, this ship is the only problem to save the world.
From that day on, the preparations of the American government started in earnest. It was decided that the ship would be named Virgil. Yes, Virgil. For this mission, Thomas hired 2 skilled NASA pilots named Rebecca, who had previously saved a spaceship from crashing with her skills, and assigned pilot commander Iverson to pilot the ship Virgil. Although Rebecca Iverson was not alone in this mission, they were accompanied by Braz, George, Serge, and Conrad. George would pilot this entire mission because he was the first to understand why various strange things were happening on Earth. Meanwhile, they also brought a hacker to keep the news of this disaster secret from the media and the internet so that people would not panic. This hacker's name was Rat. A press conference was organized. George said that the Virgil ship would be completely ready in 3 months, and then it would be taken to the very center of the Earth.
there would be an explosion there with 500 megaton nuclear bombs. As a result, the Earth's core will start rotating again. The Earth will become normal. This ship will have 6 compartments like a train. First, there will be the engine, then the navigation compartment, then the living quarters, then the engine room, and the next compartment will be for the engine bearings, and then there will be the place where those bombs will be taken, and finally there will be a module to control the weapons. But if for some reason any compartment is damaged or destroyed, then that compartment itself will separate from the entire ship. The ship was once built and it was tested to see if the ship was really ready to withstand so much pressure. The result was 0. They failed 22 times. At that time, another terrible event happened in the world. Suddenly, lightning started in Rome. Buildings started to be destroyed one after another. Starting from the roads, parts of the city were completely destroyed. After seeing the news, the Tsars realized that they had to leave for the mission as soon as possible. As expected, it was a task. The next day, the ship Virgil left to enter the core of the Earth through the deepest trench, the Mariana Trench. Yash and his team left for a mission that was beyond anyone's imagination until today. Their mission began. They easily headed towards the core with the ship Virgil, but once when an earthquake started under the sea, Iverson lost control of the ship. However, taking it into account, they increased the speed of the ship and started descending rapidly. Once with the help of a laser, they first penetrated the surface of the Earth and entered the mantle layer, the layer of molten rock below the surface. 12 hours after entering the mantle layer, they saw a strange thing. What was it? They saw there was a place in the mantle layer of the Earth where there was nothing. That is, the place is hollow. And the Virgil ship will not work in this hollow place because Virgil was not made that way. At that time, Virgil lost control and crashed into many crystals, but no one else inside the ship was injured, and their laser collided with a crystal. As a result, they will not be able to move forward. Brass says that the only way for them to move forward is to get out of the ship and cut the crystal. But there is only one way out of the ship, the ship's impeller. What is an impeller? An impeller is a mechanical part that is used to keep the flow of liquid or gas in a ship or other device running smoothly. It is usually a rotating fan-like wheel. After cooling the impeller, they wear a special suit and go out. How is this tuned? This suit has the ability to withstand very high temperatures. When they get out, they find out that they are in the world of a geode, which is strangely beautiful. What is a geode? A geode is a rock that is hard on the outside, but has a wonderful world of different crystals inside. However, they don't have much time to enjoy the beauty for long. They focus on their work. When Iverson starts cutting the crystal, suddenly lava starts raining down on them. The crystal pieces start falling on them. They remove the crystal stuck in the laser and return to the ship. But Iverson can't get back. A crystal falls on him, and he falls into the burning lava. Iverson has to give his life to save the world. Even though Iverson dies, they don't have time to mourn. They break through the lava and continue moving forward.
On the second day, the ship almost reaches the outer core, and while passing through a diamond layer underground, a large diamond fragment destroys one of the ship's teeth where the timers for the nuclear bombs were. As a result, the tooth starts to separate from the ship. Search, without thinking anything, quickly goes to the tooth and finds the timers for the nuclear bombs and gives them to George. However, while working, he separates himself from the ship and sacrifices his life. Despite many attempts, Braz and Zeus cannot save him. He melts in the intense heat of the lava. In a flash, 35 hours have passed. But upon entering the Earth's outer core, they realize that the density of the core is much lower than they thought. And since this core is so low, even if a nuclear bomb of more than 1,000 megatons is detonated here, it will not be of any use. The Earth's core will not change in any way, and it will not even start to rotate. Conrad realizes that they have no other choice. To bring the world back to normal, he tells Thomas that if this mission fails, we will go to Plan B, which was called Project Destiny. What was this Plan B? This project was a secret project, which only Thomas and Conrad knew. And this was Conrad's secret project.
But Conrad tells the rest of the ship that it is a device that can cause earthquakes anywhere in the world. Thomas thought that if any of their enemy countries attacked them with a device that could cause an earthquake anywhere in America, he had Conrad create this Destiny device for their own protection. And it becomes clear to the country that the American government and this Project Destiny created by Conrad are behind the sudden stop of the Earth's core. While they were testing it, the beginning of the destruction of the world began. Conrad also says that they will return to Earth and fire the Destiny device. As a result, another earthquake will be created and the Earth may start spinning again. But George cannot accept that. He says that if Destiny is fired again, the balance of the Earth will be disrupted and the Earth may be torn apart due to an earthquake. Meanwhile, when Thomas orders them to return from the surface of the Earth, George says that they will not go back even if their own lives are lost. They will work according to Plan C when they reach the edge of the Earth. Either way, their Plan C was to make one last attempt. Rebecca and Braz support him, but Conrad gets angry at them. On the other hand, another danger is coming to San Francisco. The sun's rays directly affect the Earth. Roads are destroyed. People are burned. Seeing this situation, Thomas orders Destiny to fire more quickly. Knowing this, John tells Rat to find Project Destiny and stop it. However, it doesn't take long for Rat to do so. He is a hacker. He understands that Project Destiny's base is in Alaska, America. He uses his hacking to somehow stop Project Destiny. At that time, Conrad on the ship says that they may have another way, to restore the Earth's core to its previous state. They decide that they will separate each nuclear bomb and detonate them in such a way that the Earth's core starts rotating again. But for this, they will have to separate 5 nuclear bombs in 2 separate bites. But the button to separate each bomb is on the ship's impeller, the temperature of which is 9,000 degrees. Just think about 9,000 degrees and they don't even have nitrogen left to cool the impeller. So they have to sacrifice one of them, and Braz decides since it's his ship, he will sacrifice that one. As soon as he enters the impeller, his shoes and suit start melting under the pressure. However, not giving up, he presses the button at the last moment and dies there. He dies, but the mission doesn't stop. Joss and Conrad arrange the nuclear bombs in 2 bites. They start exploding one by one. But at that moment, they realize that they need a more powerful explosion to bring the Earth's core back to normal. And for this, they need a lot of plutonium. Where will they get plutonium? At that moment, before they can find a solution, Virgil collides with a huge energy web again. When Rebecca tries to separate the bite within 75 seconds, she finds out that Joss and Conrad are still in the face. Although Joss somehow survives, Conrad cannot save himself. He gets trapped in that bite. After a while, he too will die. However, before Conrad dies, he tells George that in order to cause a more powerful explosion, he will have to use all of Virgil's nuclear power. According to Conrad, George uses all of the ship's nuclear power to cause the final explosion, which is successful. And a ripple effect is created around the Earth's core. What is the ripple effect? The ripple effect is when an action or event occurs, its effect is small at first, but over time it spreads greatly, which is called the ripple effect, for which the Earth's core starts spinning again.
On the other hand, it is seen that Virgil has become dull due to using up all of Virgil's energy. He does not have the nuclear power to return to Earth. That means Rebecca and Zos may never be able to return to Earth, so they have no choice but to wait for their own deaths. But at that time, Zos has an idea. He remembers that Virgil is like a huge solar panel and is made of unobtainium metal, and they can use it to generate nuclear power. Then maybe they can return to Earth. They use it to restore the ship's power, and after about 16 hours, they float to the bottom of the sea. However, as the seawater is cold, they are stuck there due to lack of power, and the US government's communication with them is also stopped. But they do not give up. They use the ultrasonic wave generator on the ship to send a certain frequency signal at a very low power. Although we cannot hear it with our ears, the whales in the sea can easily detect them. Meanwhile, when the US government sends a ship to rescue them, Rat, who is on the sea, understands that Janes and Rebecca are still alive and down below through the movement of the whales. By analyzing the movements of the whales, they understand the location of the ship, and the rescue team is sent down. Eventually, Rat and the US government find them. A week after this incident, Rat reveals to the whole world how the bravery of the Virgil team saved the whole world from certain death and destruction. Also, the secret information of destiny is revealed in that project. The whole world sees Janes, Jars, Rebecca, Iverson, Conrad search as a hero. And here the movie ends. So this was today's video. How did you like the video? Of course, write in the comments. If you like the video, just like it and share it with your friends. See you in the next video. Until then, everyone be very well.